This past weekend, the US Department of Justice, I have to read the actual term because, I'm not American. So, the US Department of Justice dropped millions of pages of the Epstein files, right? Epstein-related material. We've seen it, we heard it. We heard Voidzilla, Coffeezilla going all in on it. We heard all the others talking about it. What's now interesting to me is like it's not a leak, right? It's not a rumor. It's like, according to what I can see, a legally mandated release. And yet, if you open your feed, the social feed of your choice, you'll be forgiven for thinking the big story was something else entirely. Like maybe today you open it and you saw a proposed Trump monument, the Arc the Trump, the Melania film. I don't know what to say about it. Yeah, like it's a parade of cultural noise arriving right this at the right time. Strange. So this podcast episode is not about what's in the Epstein files, cause not a lawyer, not Voidzilla, not Penguin Zero, or however you pronounce his name, which has a really cool channel, obviously. It's about how something this big can exist, yet it still fails to land. Because we've been talking about it forever, and is anything ever gonna happen? Saudi Cup and welcome to another episode here for the Fun Report. Somewhat mindful media and somewhat mindful communication. It's hard to stay mindful, isn't it? So when it comes to the Epstein files, right? It wasn't a leak that just happened, and that actually matters because there's an important distinction we need to make. Like if it's a leak, then there's a whistleblower, someone who knows something, who wants, the truth to get out there. But this wasn't a whistleblower, or this wasn't an investigative expose. It was a state mandated release under what they call the transparency law, which then means there's there's no narrative owner. Sounds good at first, but let me explain. There's also no dramatic reveal moment. Also sounds good. We'll explain. And there's no clear villain or resolution arc. In theory, also good. So the information exists, but meaning isn't packaged. There's no one to make sense of it just yet. So from a communication point of view, it's great. It's like, okay, cool, we have raw transparency. But as we know from previous podcast episodes, or if you're taking comms classes at uni, maybe with me, raw transparency without framing doesn't really create accountability. Because while it sounds great at first, you do need someone to somewhat make sense of all of it. And what we have right now is diffusion. So what we can say after the Epstein files, 3 million documents or whatever have been dropped this past weekend, congratulations, democracy has uploaded a big zip file. That's it. Yeah, that's exactly like you getting if you're old enough, if you're a millennial, you remember this, you're downloading a zip file, you're unpacking, and then you're like, wow, there's so much stuff in there. I don't know what to look for. What's the right document to look for in that huge zip file? I don't know. So this leads me to what this is. It's information overload by design. Yeah. Again, generally speaking, it sounds good. Sure, give us all the raw information. Yeah, don't frame it. Great. But when you throw 3 million documents at someone, be like, "Heh." Yeah. And then you delete some of those again in the hopes that no one notices. Like, yeah, we gave you everything, and you just took some away again. Yeah, 3 million, whatever pages, whatever it might be, right? Allegedly. I just say that word because Americans always say that. So I don't know how many pages I read around 3 million documents. So let's just go with that, right? Doesn't matter. Hundreds of thousands of images, and there's no narrative hierarchy. There's no sense making of it. There's no this is connected to this is connected to that. There's nothing of it. So the sheer volume sounds like, look, we give you everything, but it does not empower the public in any means. It overwhelms it. And people, it's like with the zip file, right? People don't ask, like, what does this change? People ask, like, where do I start? Where should I look? What should I be looking for? And that's when it's easy to distract. It's like certain people that I mentioned, they say, like, yeah, you see my email in there, but look over there, for example, right? And here I bring in a few media theories for the first time today, because that's what we do here at the podcast, right? There is a media researcher, and you might be familiar if you've taken media or comms classes before. He's called Arendt, and he said, and I quote, he said, when reality becomes too complex to judge, people stop judging and start reacting. Okay, actually, of course, we listen, we don't judge, sure. But in this case, judging means like observing and making informed decisions. But if it's too complex to observe and to make informed decisions, then we're just reacting to it. So you're not thinking, you're not observing, you're just quickly reacting. And that, of course, can lead to, well, reactions that are not well informed. And the problem here, and I'm gonna introduce this a bit more starting today in the next few episodes too, because I'm teaching a model which I call the frame model, FRAME, and this talks about the agency collapse when it comes to narratives in the media setting, okay? And so the narrative agency that we should have collapses when the whole environment removes prioritization. Okay, so when there's no like this is more important than that, it's just like throw it all out, right? Too much information disables action maybe as effectively as censorship would do. It's like we're not censoring, we're giving you 3 million things at once. Yeah, you're not uninformed, you're buried. And that's the strategy here. And now, while you're buried, I know it's hard, but try to zoom out while you're buried, okay? Within hours of the Epstein drop, right, what happened? And I have it here again because sometimes it's like, you can't believe it. So Trump, actually, that's one of the first things I saw on my feed today. Besides, the Epstein stuff happened, and then I see it in my feed on the BBC of all pages. It's like Trump with his Arc the Trump. What? Why are you reporting on this? Melania's movie has been out since the Epstein drop too, of course, because we have to have more ways to distract people. Yeah, so aesthetic politics replace, I don't know, institutional ones? Who cares about real politics, right? We just go for aesthetics and like what looks better. And isn't it, I told you in the intro, it's hard to stay mindful. But all of this, right? It's not denial. It's not like no one tries to say it didn't happen. It's in commerce we might call it not agenda setting but agenda flooding. You're just trying to flood like our cognitive systems, what we can understand, what we can process with more and more and more. And when it comes to the communications point of view, com theory, you don't argue with the files, of course not, because they're there. But what you can do, you change the frame, right? And as we know from framing, and as we know from media studies, and I'm going to try something right now. If you are a media student, or if you're someone who studied media communication and journalism, you know that Marshall McLuhan once said the medium Exactly. It's the message. That's what you should have said, right? How to finish that sentence. Right? The medium is the message. And this is a perfect example. So I should actually be thankful to the US Department of Justice for this, so that my students can actually see how the medium is the message. Because the medium and timing of the release shape meaning way more than the content itself. Yeah? What arrives alongside of the drop of the story often defines the impact it has. So when you're gonna say, like, when accountability drops, you roll out architecture and you try to architecture your way around it. And how do you architecture your way around it? Well, you launder, not money in this case. Well, Melania movie, who knows? Um, allegedly. But attention, you launder attention. Yeah, because again, no one's being suppressed right now, right? The information's out, and some parts are being redacted and taken away. But the attention, allegedly, the information is out, but the attention is being laundered. Okay, the files circulate, but without any pacing, any emotional pacing, even any narrative spacing, any narrative escalation, any institutional follow through. There's nothing. And usually, if there are, big reveals, if there are investigations and things like that, then there would be someone, maybe from the government, yeah, from a government agency, the police, whatever, who would say, hey, we have this information, this leads us to believe that this, that leads us to believe that that. Nothing's happening. Yeah, so all that, just putting it all out there, and in the meantime, the spectacle, we talked about this many times before, absorbs attention elsewhere. Yeah, it's attention laundry. Speaking of the spectacle, the theory, Society of the Spectacle. Guy Debord talked about it many a times. And you know that the spectacle doesn't hide the truth, but it replaces the consequences that the truth should have with a reaction to just looking at the spectacle. To like, I can't believe it. Whoa, the Melania movie is really terrible. I can't believe. Oh wow, is he really building that? Okay, so that's what's happening. It's kind of like, we all are aware of the Epstein files. Everybody sees it, but nobody deals with it. And this, right, is the fact that nobody deals with it leads to why the elites, and I know it sounds a bit conspiracy-like, and I should wear like a tinfoil hat now, but why the elites, why they don't fear disclosure anymore? Because nothing's happening. Yeah, power, they, them, see how I'm trying to be very politically correct. Power has learned that it can survive exposure. Power has learned that it can outlast outrage. How long are you going to be outraged? Until the next spectacle drops and you're like, oh, look at this. You're outraged for 3 days now, maybe. Yeah, power has learned that it can just wait for the next distraction. And it's no problem because there are so many. And that's why he's still president, for example. Yeah, leaks used to threaten stability. Now, and I mean, there's not even a leak, but now that's just another content cycle. It drops, call it drops. And to remind you of like one of the more famous, also controversial theories, Foucault, when it comes to media theories, not the biggest fan, but he did say a few good things, and he talks about power. And he said like power adapts faster than critique. And so visibility can be absorbed without any structural change. People are looking at you, sure, they're talking about it 1 day, 2 days, 3, maybe a week. If Voidzilla, Coffeezilla is really after it, maybe a little bit longer, hopefully. But in the end, well, nothing's gonna happen. So they're not even hiding. Yeah, maybe they're just hydrating, waiting for it to blow over, and they're gonna go again. And yeah, speaking of one of my favorite YouTube channels, Coffeezilla, which again, I hope it doesn't sound like I make fun of it. It's awesome what he does, so that's why I mention it, right? But if you strip away all the spectacle, right, the real questions that he might ask, they're very boring, but I think those are the important ones. And you gotta ask, like, who controls framing after the release? Who benefits the most from this narrative confusion that's happening right now? And why is there no institutional storytelling? Usually, again, one last time, usually if something would drop or something would happen, all the institutions would be so over it. Like what happened in Venezuela, right? They told stories left and right about how Venezuela is like this drug, I don't know, powerhouse that poisons the US and whatnot with fentanyl and stuff like this. Right now we have nothing. So I taking off my conspiracy hat again because I don't think it's conspiracy. It's like more, I might call it forensic communication, like to really like, check what's happening, look under everything. Because again, it's not about what are they hiding, it's how are they, okay, how are they managing attention? How are they shifting attention away from it? So it's not really just like a truth crisis, it's a sense-making crisis. And this leads me to the last point, right? So the whole thing, the whole Epstein files, everything, it's more than just that person, right? It's a stress test. Because every time truth appears, attention spike, nothing fundamentally structurally shifts. And so the system proves it can absorb everything. Its ugliest mirror, if you will. Nothing's changing. So the Epstein files and Epstein itself is not a scandal anymore. It's like a load-bearing wall, and it's just like standing there and standing there and standing and taking and taking and taking it. So this weekend, yeah, during the drop showed us something important. You in 2026 right now, you do not need to suppress the truth. You just need to release it without any meaning. Just put it out there and surround it with like shinier things. Now, when accountability becomes kind of optional, distraction becomes governance. And once a system learns that, and it's learning it right now, it doesn't fear exposure anymore. It just waits for the next headline. So, which headlines are you looking at right now? Shout out. Sorry.